Think with the doctor. Yes, he's got it. Here he comes. Way back the baby to sleep.
Until morning. Ewing.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he's going to try to get one more shot off the line. Push the buzzer.
How about that?
Steps over Toronto. He thought about three. He'll put up a three.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Boom Broadcasting presents Three from Deep. I'm your host, Jason Calenzo. Welcome to the show. Thank you guys for joining me here. I am bundled up. I am ready for Snow-Maggdon 2026. I have been blessed to be here with my man, braving the elements too, Mr. Shannon Smith, a.k.a. Podcast Smitty. Smitty, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. Looking forward to talking NBA with you. Rivalry week, ready to toss some hoops. Let's go.
I am too, man. I am too. And, guys, it's getting ready to snow out there. All of you that are going to be in the infected areas, please be careful out there. It's time to stay home. Put on some Boom Broadcasting Network, a little YouTube network, jump on here, hit that like and subscribe. This is a perfect time to snuggle up and get comfortable with Boom Broadcasting and watch all your favorite podcasts. We're all on demand. Just sit here and binge watch Three from Deep, binge watch Quick Hits with my man Smitty. Jump on here, enjoy Boom Broadcasting. It don't cost anything. It's perfect time to do it. Just watch the snow fall outside and sit in the warmth of your home and watch some great content from some great content providers. And I'm going to take all this stuff off because, man, it's hot in here. All right, we're good. You get the idea. I got the heat pump going. I'm good. But, Smitty, welcome, man. We're going to have some fun talking NBA rivalry because it is NBA rivalry week in the NBA. And I'm going to go over the matchups that the NBA was selling as rivals this week. And I got some questions about it, too. So I'm a little... stuff. There we go. Now I feel better now. There we go. We good now. Some of these matchups that they consider rivals, I got a little beef with it. Because I think of rivals, you think of rivals, we have a different vision than what the NBA has. So rivalry week this week in the NBA. Tuesday we had the Spurs versus the Rockets, Lakers versus Nuggets. I mean, Spurs, Rockets, I know it's the same state, but is that really a rival? Wednesday, we had Cavs versus Hornets, OKC versus the Bucks. I don't know where the rivalry is in that. Thursday, we had the Warriors versus Mavs. I mean, I guess Clay and Steph, but I don't know if that's a rivalry because they're friends. Lakers, Clippers, I mean, that, I'll give it to them. That they live in the same building. Are they huge rivals? But at least they're in the vicinity. Friday, we had Rockets, Pistons, Nuggets, Bucks. I'm still searching for the rivalry there. And then today, Knicks, 76ers. I mean, at least we're in the East. And then Warriors, T-Wolves, Lakers, Mavs. So, out of all those rivalry games, I mean, I really can think of one that be maybe considered a rival. What are your thoughts on that there, Mr. Shannon?
Of course, sports is built off rivalry, and any way you can kind of stir it, then I understand. The WNBA did the same thing during their season, and they dug with some of their different rivalries as well, too. I get it. But do these rivalries really move the needle with me? Not so much. But nice try. I can understand the gimmick. I can understand trying to get some of your best players out there. That Houston Spurs rivalry seems pretty interesting. Knicks and 76ers, okay. then Lakers Clippers. I can dig that. Same state. Clippers Lakers. They've been on opposite sides for a while, but as the years went, the Lakers will be up some years, the Clippers will be down, and vice
Right.
versa. So it's up and down. Can it be a rivalry? Yeah, I'm sure. But as far as a rivalry that can move the needle and be something that can draw viewers in, not so much. So nice try, NBA. At least you're trying to, stir the pot, move the needle a little bit and drag people in. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was like I said, to me it was a little bit weak. It was too gimmicky. Look, I mean, we're trying to fall in love with the Emirates Cup, with that in season tournament. Of course, my Knicks won, which is phenomenal. But again, this is the NBA trying to mirror some of the other leagues, trying to get the excitement back into it. But when I think of rivals, I mean, again, Spurs, Rockets, they're two top teams in the West. Kevin Durant, Victor Wembanyama, you have marquee players that you're marketing. Maybe you could have named it something different. Rivalries to me, I think this is more of like, all right, let's try to create a rivalry as opposed to what we consider like, I hate you, I don't want to even be on the same court with you rivalry. Those are the ones we kind of think of. So myself, Mr. Smith, we're going to sit here, we're going to talk, guys. And first we're going to talk about teams. So we're going to talk about what we think constitutes some of the greatest rivalries. We'll talk about the NBA. We'll talk about some of the other leagues too. We'll get in there, a little halftime action, and then we'll talk about some player rivalries, because nowadays I don't know if we even get a lot of that. I'm not counting Twitter beef as a rivalry. Sorry, guys. I need fisticuffs. But first, let's jump into it, man. To me, and probably to yourself, when we think of NBA rivalries, the main one that comes to mind, first thing I thought of was Lakers Celtics. To me, that is the ultimate NBA rivalry. They have hated each other. They saved the NBA back in the 80s when the NBA finals was on tape delay and you could never find a basketball game. It was dark, it was dismal. The 70s were miserable because the NBA they had nothing. The ABA was there, they had competition. The Lakers versus the Celtics and those marquee players brought NBA out of the depths, saved the league, and turned it into a East-West phenomenon. That to me is a rivalry. Celtics 9 championships, Lakers 3 championships. They played, especially in the 80s. They met up 3 times. Celtics won 2, Lakers won 1, if I'm getting my notes right. But to me, those guys hated each other. When they played together, they literally hated each other. I think those teams met up 37 times just during the 80s in those matchups. They would fight. I mean, is that the main one you think of, Smitty, or is there another one that you think tops that?
Absolutely. That has to be the one. Especially when, like, the Celtics and the Lakers kind of fell off in the 90s a little bit. Mm-hmm. When they started getting relevant again, when Paul Pierce and KG and KP and Rajon Rondo were there. Mm-hmm. And then, the Lakers started getting better as well, too, with Kobe, with him bringing those teams in with Pau Gasol and Andrew Bynum, Derek Fisher, Rick Fox, Rob Horry. That was fun to watch. That was very, very good basketball. And especially like when the dip happened, when both these teams kind of had to build and rebuild and everything, add Shaq in there as well too, being a part of that. So that has to be the main one, because that was that was the rivalry. Again, you said it. Saved the NBA, got the NBA into the forefront. Bird, Magic, McHale, Parrish, Michael Cooper, Kareem,
Right.
Byron Scott, all those players, James Worthy in there. You have players that are Hall of Famers. You have coaches that are Hall of Famers,
Right.
That were there. So, yeah, those are the blue bloods of the NBA. You can put the Celtics and the Lakers being the blue bloods of the NBA. You may add whoever you want in there as well, too. But those are the two blue bloods of the NBA to me.
And they hate each other. And they hate it. It didn't matter who was on the team.
Right.
You could put all new players. Those teams, the Lakers and the Celtics, when they match up, that becomes an instant rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other big ones I think of, especially during the time that we grew up, was Bulls Pistons.
Yes.
Those Bulls Pistons, especially through 87 through 91, the bad boy Pistons, the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan, Pistons came up with the Jordan rules. They would beat Jordan to death.
Mm-hmm.
The guys talk about how, the NBA and with hand checking and the way that it's officiated now. Guys, if you don't go back and look at some of the games back in that, you literally could elbow, you could forearm smash, you could clothesline, you could do anything you wanted, and you really didn't get a foul. Like, you got beat up back in the day when you played. And these Bulls Pistons matchups were phenomenal. And again, hate, not just like, I don't like you just because we play on the same court. I'm talking about pure, unadulterated, just on, off the court. Don't even say that word in my house. Like, kind of hate that. I mean, again, Bulls Pistons, where do you think that ranks in that rivalry matchup?
Oh, it has to be up there. I would probably say, okay, so you've got, of course, Lakers, Celtics, that's them. I would have to say they're in the top 5. Bulls, Pistons has to be. And of course, they're inside the same division as well, too. They're in the Eastern Conference, but they're in the same division. So, yes. And the Pistons were a repeat champion at that time, and Jordan and Pippen and all them had to get over that hump.
Right.
They had to get, in order to get to the championship, they had to get past the Detroit Pistons, and it just seemed like they just couldn't do it. It just seemed like it just couldn't happen. And finally, when Mike got over the hump, those guys ended up getting over the hump. The Bulls they became what they became in the 90s, being the team in the 90s in the NBA. The torch was kind of passed on to the Chicago Bulls, but there is no big-time Bulls dynasty without them getting over the hump of Detroit. So absolutely.
And that's one of the things, I guess, in my argument when we have GOAT conversations, because you look at Michael Jordan and the way the Pistons would just beat him down, and he would try to come back stronger every year. And then he didn't jump ship. He didn't go to another team. They didn't try to buy somebody and bring in another guy. They ran their squad, and they turned around and beat them. And it meant more to him than anything to get over that hump. It's the rivalry kind of died from there. That's why it's hard for me to put it with Lakers Celtics, because again, those guys, I think no matter what era, they've always hated each other. Even if you go back to the 50s and 60s, there's some beef there. But Bulls Pistons doesn't have the cachet as it used to, as much as it did back then. But a heated rivalry. The other one that plays close to my heart, that I had to deal with last year, that
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
You want me to get choked up now or what?
I'm sorry.
Was, of course, Knicks Pacers. Again, heated rivalry still to this day. Last year, ignited the flame, because, of course, you can't have that series without digging up some of the ghosts, a la Reggie Miller. So that to me, again, you talk about teams that hate each other. Doesn't matter what players are on the court. If you have the jersey on, you hated each other. So again, thoughts. I think that's still one of the biggest rivalries in the NBA because of the history, and I think that has a lot to do with what creates a great rivalry. Is you have history, it bubbles up, it kind of dies a little bit, but then it bubbles up again, it gets bigger, and then bubbles up again, it gets even bigger. So, where are you at with Knicks Pacers?
I'll reinsert that into number 2, especially after the playoffs last year. So, because for a minute it lay a little dormant, because of Indiana and New York kind of going through what they were going through, growing pains and all that other stuff.
Right.
You gain guys, you lose guys. New York was kind of outlasting Indiana for a little bit, and then Indiana actually started getting better, and then the Knicks started getting better at the same time.
Right.
And everybody wanted that rivalry. If you watch the NBA around the time that we did, everybody was wanting this rivalry because that was what made the playoffs fun. Like that Eastern Conference, that made the playoffs a lot of fun. Just having that rivalry, especially for the conference championship. Oh, absolutely. Right. It was good, man. But that put itself back into number 2 to me.
That was it was up there. And again, I've now lived, knock on wood, I'm grateful, but I've lived through both of those big eras. But again, those are the things to me when I think of rivalries are highlights. Again, you can still remember Reggie Miller and, the Spike Lee. And of course they showed that umpteen times last year and of course the Knicks lose in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Indiana Pacers. But again, I'll try to be cool, but I mean, to me, that's rivalry. This one, with some of these games, rivalry, they kind of, I think they missed the mark. They should have. To me, if you're going to do this, you need to have Lakers Celtics.
Yeah.
You need to have Bulls Pistons. You need to have Knicks Pacers. Those to me are classic rivalries that you can not only you can sell, but you can bubble it up and you can insert like, okay, it's hard for me to, sell Warriors Mavs. What history do we have that we can drum up and play during the game and get everybody hyped up about it? There's not a lot, but Lakers Celtics, Knicks Pacers, Bulls Pistons. You have highlights that you can infuse and sell the matchup, and you can kind of open old wounds. To me, that's rivalry, and you gotta be able to do that because that really gets people hyped up here. And then you also have, I think there's some other rivalries out there, and I think they're a little underrated. I talked about the Spurs Rockets. I mean, I think that has a chance to make it. I mean, I know they've had a little bit of history, but I think it's more modern-ish. I mean, thoughts on that one? And then my other one, of course, close to my heart, is Knicks Heat. Because, of course, back in the day, especially the younger Heat, you talk about Alonzo Mourning holding on to Van Gundy's leg there and the whole, so they always had some battles. They had hate towards each other. So that was another one. Thoughts on those two? And then do you have one that maybe we haven't talked about?
I love that Heat Knicks, Zoe and LJ, being being in North Carolina, growing up with that old school Hornet squad.
Grandmama, love them.
Just the possibility, just how good that squad could have been if they would have stayed together. But the money and everything, Zoe wanted more money, LJ wanted more money. They lose them both. And then they go their separate ways. They meet up again, and it's combustible elements.
Yeah.
So it gets opened back up. I like that one as well too. I like that one. I can understand Rockets, Spurs. I can. because of Victor Wembanyama, because of KD. I like the idea, but as far as being a rival, I don't think so. It's cool putting these players against each other, and of course, them being in the Western Conference, being in the same state. Okay,
Right.
it's kind of like Lakers Clippers, in a
Right.
way. They're in the same state, they're in the same city. Okay, but still, it doesn't move the needle like Knicks Heat. It doesn't
Right.
do anything for me there. It doesn't do anything for me like Pistons Bulls doesn't do anything like that for me. So, I understand that and I get it. But a rivalry to me, and it was very, very short lived, but kind of one of my favorite ones as a kid was Lakers Kings. When that was
the Sacramento Queens.
yes.
Shaq, yes, I get it. Those Kings were good, dude. I mean, they got hosed out of a championship. Peja, Stojakovic.
Yeah, I love Peja. You
had Vlade Divac.
Yeah,
and I think that added to it too, because you had a couple of guys that were on the Lakers that so and they're in the same state. But yeah, that was a good one. That was the late '90s, 2000s. Those the Sacramento Queens.
That was fun.
That was
a
good.
Fun time, and they couldn't stand each other. And it
No,
was at Western Conference Finals, and it was right before the NBA title. That's what made it fun there, because they really could not like each other. The back and forth, and with Mike Bibby and Doug Christie, all those guys, man. I mean, and nowhere a squad. Both these teams were wagons, man.
Right,
they were good.
Yeah, no, that's good. That, to me, again, that's a rivalry you can drum up. So NBA, if you're listening, we've talked about this. I talked about this on my last show when I discussed the All-Star game. You got a bunch of six-figure dudes sitting in a room trying to come up with ideas. That's what you come up with the All-Star game. This is what you come up with Rivalry Week. Here we are. We're sitting in our lab here, essentially in our homes. I mean, I do okay, but I don't make six figures.
Right.
And we could come up with some better mess than what y'all coming up with. So come on, NBA. I think you need to step it up, because, look, there's so much history in the NBA. You got to go back and start looking at it. And I think you'll look at Rivalry Week a little bit different and start doing some things a little bit different, because this could have been sold so much better. Look, I get it. You're trying to create new rivalries. But in today's NBA, with everybody huggy, kissy, kissy, I don't know if you're going to get the same kind of oomph. Crazy. Man, I like that Kings-Lakers one. That was a good one. Oh, that was some good stuff right there, man. I like that. So, but we're going to take a quick timeout, because, guys, if you can think of another team rivalry that we're missing, drop it in the comments. Give me some feedback. Tell me and Shannon who you got, because there is a lot of great rivalries out there, and I know we're probably missing some, because there was some old school teams. You talk about the 76ers. I know they had some great rivalries in the early 80s, and there's a lot of teams out there. So drop us a comment, but we're going to take a timeout, because we're going to stick to the rivalry thing, because I started getting into this, man. I kind of went down the rabbit hole and got excited about it, because this is the greatest thing about sports to me is rivalries. You can watch a game, teams won, which team lost, yay. But when you have a team you hate with passion, when you just you like put signs up on your lawn how much you hate these teams, you paint your house colors to piss your neighbor off because they like the team you hate, and your team is better than you. These are the things I love. So to me, I'm gonna go. I got my big three. And let me see if you agree, Shannon, and then I want to see if you got somebody else you want to add to that. So for me, in sport, the three greatest rivalries: Yankees, Red Sox, MLB, Michigan, Ohio State, college football, and Duke UNC, college basketball. To me, those are like, besides the Lakers, Celtics, which we just talked about because we can drop them in there. Basketball, I think they're one of the biggest too. But those three, to me, are some of the greatest rivalries in sport. It doesn't matter what era. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter who's on the team. It's just actual hate flows when you talk and you're on the opposite sides. Thoughts?
I cannot. I can't disagree with that. Although on the baseball, being an Atlanta Brave is Mets Braves for me. But
okay.
as far as greatest, yeah, Yankees Red Sox, the curse of the Bambino, it is etched in history. Yes, college football, Michigan, Ohio State. I can't mess with that. I can't say anything bad about that because that's been going on for a long time. I'm a Harvard Yale guy myself. That's a joke. But
I mean, I can see that's a rival, and that's a big one. You have Army Navy is a huge one too. God bless our soldiers here. Shout out to all our men and women in uniform. Thank you very much for your service. I mean, that's a huge one too. But like as far as the grand scheme of things, to me, again,
it's Michigan
Ohio State is. I mean, I think you have USC, UCLA had some big ones. Penn State, I think Penn State had some rivals. I mean, I know Notre Dame, and some of the different teams out there. But to me, Michigan. I mean, you talk about pure hatred for each other.
Yes.
There is, like, if you're a Michigan fan and you walk somewhere near Ohio State campus, you're probably going to get jumped, kind of deal.
Yeah.
Like, it's that bad.
Oh, it's bad. And last but definitely not least, you hit the nail on the head. The greatest rivalry in all the sports, Duke, North Carolina. I'm on the Carolina side, and my mom is on the Duke side.
I know that was going to get you.
It was horrible growing up it was horrible. My poor dad, he ain't got a dog in the fight. He don't like either. So between me and my mom, he's sitting there, all right, y'all, stop. That's enough. My mom would egg it on. Then I would go in, and then sometimes I'd egg it on, and then she'd come in. My dad's like, y'all need to quit. Y'all give me a headache. And it was bad. We went to watching both the games together to watching one game, and now we can't do it. Like, we don't. And I've refused. I flat out look at my mom's mom. She's like, you gonna watch the game with me? I said, no. It's been 10 years. It's been about 10 years. We have not watched a Duke.
Now, how did this happen? Now, how does that happen? And the guys, again, don't be afraid to comment. How does a household, especially that mom loves them, and then all of a sudden you had to, I mean, was it just you became a fan? Was it that, oh, hey, I got to be opposite? Like, how do you become a fan opposite of your mom? Like, how does that happen?
See, I got to shout out my uncles, my mom's brothers. Those are the ones, and I always...
passing the blame. All right.
No, they're the ones. They were the ones that, raised me up in it. I always did everything with my uncles, I love my dad to death. My dad is what's up. But something about my Uncle Craig, my Uncle Tommy, my Uncle Scott, they were always around me when I was younger. They took me everywhere, took me shopping, dressed me, watch sports with I watch sports with them, watch football with them. My Uncle Scott's a baseball fan, big baseball fan. My Uncle Tommy, he loves football. My Uncle Craig loves football and he loves basketball. So they got me being a Carolina fan, and I just was with them, and I like Carolina. I think they kind of had an orchestrated plan on my mom because I think they did. I really think they did.
Damn. Some ganged up on mom. Oh my goodness.
And that's how I went. And I've always been a Carolina fan. My grandma, when she was alive, God bless you, grandma, miss you. She had Carolina calendars and things like that. Had the 82 championship Coca-Cola bottle that has not been opened. Like all of this was here. And I just became a fan. And then mom was like, "Oh, I can't have this." And she tried. She tried to convert. She tried. My mom would
Right.
do some sneak stuff, college day in elementary school. She would dress me in Duke stuff. Wouldn't happen.
Oh man.
Would not happen. No, I would not. There are no pictures with me in Duke garb ever, 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 ever.
Standing over here crying in the corner because he got a Duke shirt
Right.
on. Mama, don't put me in a Duke
Right.
shirt.
I didn't want it. There was no parts of it. No. And so she would try. And I'm just like, "Mom, don't even think about it. It's not going to happen." And Mom she just quit trying to convert me. And she's like, "Okay, I got to accept the fact that my son's a Carolina fan." And I'm like, "Yes, you have to." So here we are.
That's great, man. But again, that's what makes sport so different and hits so different. So I mean, it's crazy. My mom, when I was growing up, of course, I was all New York Giants, Yankees, Knicks. My brother ended up being a Mets fan, so of course you have that rivalry too, Yankees Mets. The Subway Series.
Yes.
But it's not really a rivalry because the Yankees whoop the Mets all the time. So,
Oh, yeah.
Rivalry's got to go back and forth there a little bit.
Right.
There's can't be the one-sided. But Mom's grew up a Miami Dolphins fan because when we moved to Florida, Mom loved her some Dan Marino and his little golden hair. So that's a whole nother story. So now that I'm grown up, I'm still a fan, and my son, now that he's grown up and starting to like little sports, he loves sea creatures. And then, of course, it's the Dolphins. And, of course, Grandma likes the Dolphins. So now my son is a Dolphins fan, which it doesn't like it's not like it hurts. It's not personal because it's the Dolphins. Like, I can't, not in the same division. There's no real rivalry there.
Right.
So I can deal with it. If it was the Cowboys or Commanders or the Eagles, my son would be living in the basement.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, we ain't buying one of them shirts. I'll buy you a Dolphin shirt. He's got some Dolphin shirts I can handle wearing those, but you ain't wearing that in my house.
No.
We ain't putting no stars in my house. Sorry.
No.
So, but again, this is the greatest stuff about. I mean, guys, make a comment because I know there's a lot of. I've met couples.
Yes.
Married couples that are Red Sox, Yankees fans, Cowboys, Giants fans. I mean, that are just, you have the divided household. I used to live in South Florida, so we used to have Gators, FSU. I have a lot of friends that are half the house is Gators, other house is FSU. Or you throw Miami, the Hurricanes in there, and you see that household. And it's like the rest of the year they're good.
Yep.
But when college comes around and it's college season, you don't want to be in their house because it's just like a war zone. You got to duck and shit. Like it's a war zone. These couples become two completely different people, but you see that a lot. So guys, drop us a comment. Let's see if you got other people in the household that are rivals and how do you handle that? How do you live with, how do you sleep next to somebody that likes another team that you just hate? Sleeping with the enemy, it's great.
Yes.
But we also need to throw in here too, because my man Smitty, again, he does and loves just about every sport. He is a fan of sport. So again, if you haven't checked Quick Hits out, you must, because he does a phenomenal job. He talks about every sport you can think of. He loves F1. He loves the WNBA, college football, basketball. He talks about just about anything, water polo, miniature golf, you name it. He talks about that. Curling, he got a stone and a broom. He goes out there and curl. I mean, he talks about everything. But he just did a nice little spot here, and we got the Aussie Open going on. So I know my man loves some tennis too. I'm a little bit of a fan of tennis, not as probably big as I should be, but we, to honor the Aussie Open that's going on. We've had some great tennis rivalries, and I know I've watched a lot of tennis. Shout out Grandma Calenzo. I used to sit and watch tennis with her because she was a huge tennis fan. So Lucille, I miss you too. But she got me into watching some tennis, so I can sit and I enjoy watching, especially the big championships. But some of the biggest rivalries in tennis, you talk about Borg, McEnroe, Sampras Agassi, Navratilova, Chrissy Everett, Venus Serena. I don't even know if that can be a rivalry, but still. Billie Jean King, Margaret Court. And then you had the big three, which to me, I think is to me the biggest one, and I'll get your opinion here. Federer, Nadal, Djokovic. I think you had three guys. So it's one thing you have a rival like McEnroe Borg was a huge one, Sampras Agassi, but you had the big three. These three guys, three of the greatest tennis players to ever play. You had three rivals that literally were rivals against each other, trying to one up each other. To me, that's the biggest tennis rivalry because you had three of the greatest playing in the same era. Not really, overlapping a little bit, but not a lot. You had some great tennis matches between those three guys. That's, to me, my biggest tennis rival. What are your thoughts, Shannon?
Now, looking at all of these, man, they're really, really good. My favorite out of all of these, the one that got me into watching tennis was Andre Agassi and Pete Sampras. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
And Sampras with that powerful serve, and Andre Agassi with the baseline, the side-to-side, the lateral movement, that speed and power. That was fun to watch. I grew up and watched that. I'm thankful I got to see Andre Agassi with the long hair.
Oh, yeah.
Lost his hair.
And then he went from the flow, the lion's mane with the little bandana, and then all of a sudden it was all gone.
It was gone, man. For real. So
ball head.
I had fun watching that rivalry. That's my favorite rivalry. But the way I look at it, I'm with you. The big three has got to be the best in all of tennis. Federer, Nadal, Novak Djokovic. Novak Djokovic just got his 399th win in a major. Like, he's looking to get that 25th Grand Slam victory. And that'll put him above Margaret Court. That's going to put him as the most career Grand Slam victories of all time.
Rare air. You're it.
Yeah.
That's it. Number one.
Right. And so, in Joke, the original Joker, I call him the original Joker. So, and Roger Federer, dominated the sport. Nadal, you could put any of those three against the other, and it's a classic match. They were 1, 2, and 3 for a while. And when those three dropped off, the men's rivalries did not do much until Yannick Sinner and Carlos Alcaraz. And it was a drop. Like, when those three got older, it was a drop. And so I got to give it to those three. Those three, they're incredible. Joke is still going at 38 years old. Roger Federer did an exhibition in the Aussie Open at 44. That was cool. It was dope seeing that. So those three have got to be the ones. Yeah, if
Nadal didn't have those injuries, I think he would he would have either lasted longer or been more into the mix too. They all had their strengths, whether it was grass, whether it was clay. But those three guys, they were just ridiculous.
Yes.
They dominated the sport, and they did not want to lose to either one of them because they wanted to be the best. So, yeah, to me, that was a great one. I did love the Sampras Agassi because, again, I grew up in South Florida, so right down the street is Boca Raton, and there's a huge tennis training facility down there. So I was there when Jennifer Capriati blew up. Got to see her playing tennis at a very young age, and that was huge down there. I was never any good at it because anytime I played tennis, I played baseball. So the tennis ball went, over into the other court. You tried to hit it as far as you can. You're over here trying to clear the fence, and so I was never very good at tennis, but I definitely enjoyed watching it. But yeah, we had that sport because it's one-on-one. We had some phenomenal rivalries, especially at the top there. And Navratilova Everett, just growing up during that era too, two of the greatest to ever do it. love it. And then Venus and Serena, of course, when they hit the scene, women's tennis has always, to me, women's tennis has kind of always been, especially from like the 70s on up, has always kind of really dominated for the men's. I mean, the men's have had some great players, but the ladies have always really had the superstars. And then when Venus Serena hit the courts, that was it. It blew up to a whole nother level, because then you had Sharapova and you had all these other ones. Now you have Osaka and
Osaka, Coco
and
Gauff.
Coco Gauff, and so it's like the ladies are now just kind of dominating over the men. We do have Sinner and Alcaraz now finally, but after that, who else do you have? So that's it.
They're 1-2, and they're just consistently winning it's 1-2 with them. It's going to be interchangeable with them too, because they're already looking at, Sincaraz probably the down under version.
Right.
And Carlos Alcaraz could get a career Grand Slam at 22 years old. So
that's crazy.
I mean, it's crazy how it's going. And these guys right here are holding up the men's division. Taylor Finch is going to have to get in there. Those guys are going to have to, there's got to be a solid number 3. And the 7th seed, he ended up losing in the 3rd round. So
right.
They're dependent on Sincaraz, though, for which is going to be, I believe they'll do it, because they split the 4 Grand Slams last year. So
right.
Who we got next? So and I agree with you. I think the women's is deeper. Iga Swiatek, they've got Naomi Osaka, Coco Gauff, Arina Sabalenka. The women's is deeper, and
right.
Madison Keys won last year, and she
right.
snuck in and won over Arina Sabalenka. She's won it twice, and so Coco Gauff could lean in there at the number 3 spot. So I do agree with you. The women's is deeper, and the superstars are more on the women's side than anything. So I do agree. Gotcha.
But yeah, that's cool. And again, this is what we love about sport. This is, and they sell it that way. These leagues, they love it when that rivalry bubbles up, because then they can just run with it. And again, the Sinner Alcaraz, I mean, that's going to be 10, 12 years plus. I mean, you're going to see those guys battling each other for supremacy, which is going to be a lot of fun. So we'll get back into we'll jump out of tennis. I appreciate you doing that again, guys. Go check out my man Smitty on Quick Hits. You'll learn a lot, because he talks about everything. So I appreciate you doing that here, and we'll see who wins the Aussie Open. It's going to be interesting who gets through this weekend. So, but let's jump back into our NBA, because we talked about teams, but we have some player rivalries that I think trump teams, or really the teams became rivals because of these people. To me, again, number 1, Bird Magic. They met up 37 times, 18 times in the regular season, 3 times in the finals. Lakers won 2, Celtics won 1. Bird and Magic together, again, literally saved the NBA when they came in 79-80. Again, the darkness that was the NBA back then. When these guys came in and they started this rivalry, Showtime Lakers, the gritty Celtics, Bird Magic, East Coast versus West Coast, boom. It was an absolute explosion. To me, again, the number 1 player rivalry in the NBA, hands down. My thoughts. But next on that, I have to put Wilt versus Russell. Wilt Chamberlain versus Bill Russell. I know this is kind of before our area, but those guys met a lot. Bill Russell, I mean, they met 143 times, which is crazy to think about. So, and again, that's one of those things I kind of wish I could have saw these guys live, because you talk about 2 giants in their profession at that time. but Bill Russell got him. 84 out of 58, won 7 championships versus Wilt's 1. So that to me is number 2. Number 3, Michael Jordan versus Isaiah Thomas. Now this one to me is great because again, Bulls Pistons, but I love this one because yes, they were rivals on the court, but after basketball, they really began to hate each other, which makes it even better. Isaiah to this day talks so much shit about Michael Jordan. I love it. I love it. I want to see the old man fight. I'd love to see these two guys go at it. It'd be great. And then we got to put in there, we got our more modern one, LeBron James, Steph Curry. I think that's an interesting rivalry right there. And then the other one I have kind of hurts my heart a little bit, but you had Shaq Kobe. Because, they kind of grew up together. Kobe, Shaq together as one on the Lakers, and then they had this fractured relationship. Shaq goes to Miami, and then they just, the Shaq singing about Kobe, and there was a beef there for a long time, which greatly enough they squashed before his passing, but that was a rivalry. So what are your thoughts? Do you think that number 1 is good? Is there one player that I'm missing in this rivalry?
Oh, that number 1 is absolutely correct because that was what saved basketball. Again, we got to go back to that. Save the NBA in the 80s. Reprise the Lakers Celtics rivalry because it began with the number 2, which was Wilt and Bill Russell.
Yep.
Of course, that's where it all began with them, and Bird and Magic perfected that rivalry, of course, bringing the NBA notoriety, getting them into the grand scheme. And also, too, these guys went out in college. They were kind of building that in Indiana State, Michigan State. They were building that up in college.
Yep.
And that was cool.
It's spilled right into the NBA, man. It was it.
Definitely.
Boom.
And the NBA, it built into it. I liked it. I think that that's the number 1 that did it. And then your number 2, yes, where it all began with Bill and Wilt. And the Mike fan in me, the Bulls fan in me. Yeah, man, it's just rough, and Isaiah's throwing all this stuff at Mike, and Mike is just looking at him like, so what? I mean, he's like, and what are you going to do? And that's what makes it so funny to me is that, it's like, that's why we love sports so much is because of the rivalry. And these two went at each other. They're not going to look at their differences. They're going to carry this hate to the grave.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Yeah, there's people saying, oh, my gosh, that's kind of that's petty. Why? But you got to look at these two guys. They're two super competitive guys. And you kind of got to look at this as well, too, because I did a little digging in this as well, too. Remember when Bobby Knight was coaching the USA team, and he said all this great stuff about Michael Jordan? Who did Bobby Knight coach in college?
Isaiah Thomas.
Your coach.
Yep.
Your coach who you won a championship with.
Yep.
Is favoring this guy over you, and he coached you the longest? That's got to hit you right here.
Oh,
that's
bitter.
Hurt you.
Bitter.
Come on, man. You coached me for years, and you're gonna like this guy? You're gonna like him?
Yeah.
Him?
I mean that was like, I think that was the cherry on top of that because of course, look, Jordan and Isaiah hated each other on the court. They were rivals. It was the Pistons Bulls rivalry. But that dream team where supposedly Michael Jordan blackballed Isaiah Thomas and how Christian Laettner got on the team and Isaiah didn't. And then you turn around and have your coach fawn over the guy that literally
Yeah,
got you shut out. Oh my God, the hate flow and
again,
Isaiah takes and
Both
he'll ride that. So like Isaiah will not speak of Michael Jordan as the greatest basketball player. He just won't.
Though,
He won't.
After that happened twice, both of your coaches just pretty much hit you with the Benedict Arnold. Do you blame him? Do you really blame him?
Yeah,
like,
the great Chuck Daly. Yeah, rest in peace. I got to meet. Just quick story. I was a general manager at a movie theater in South Florida. I got to meet Chuck Daly, which was awesome. Got to shake his hand. It was really cool. But anyway, but yeah. But man, yeah, you talk about just again. These are the greatest things. These sports stars. You can't write a better script.
No.
And I would love to put these two guys in a room and have them sit and like just have a full out discussion and talk and listen to them both go at. I think it would be some of the best television to have Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas in the same room talking mess. I think it would be great. It would be great. All right.
But yeah, I gotta go with that one. I like Kobe. I like Kobe. And, Kobe and Shaq, that was petty. They were teammates. And then, this happened, wanting to change the coach and cater the team around Kobe. Shaq's like, I'm gone.
Right.
I don't blame Shaq for leaving, but yet I also don't blame Kobe for looking at the Lakers and saying, you mean to tell me you ain't going to build this team around me?
Right.
And then Kobe was able to win it away from Shaq. Shaq was able to win away from Kobe.
Right.
So I think that was more of a fan beef, if you want to be real about it. It's more one of those kind of things. Like the fans kind of got into that one a little more.
Right.
It was like, you can't win without me. I can't win without me. Cool.
Right.
They both win without each other. Now it's like, we didn't see this coming.
Right.
So,
and I think that was kind of the beef, beginning of the birth of kind of like social media too, because you watched a lot of videos of Shaq talking shit about Kobe and the video with him singing and rapping about Kobe. We're not going to repeat that. So I think this kind of was like the birth of Twitter beef. Kind of like this is where an original origin story here.
Definitely. And Curry and LeBron, okay, I get it, but then again, you look at their beef as opposed to the ones we spoke of before. Nah, I mean, I like it, nice try, but still, it's too nice, it's too sweet.
Right.
It's nowhere near, I think Steph and LeBron are going to have more of an understanding of each other in their older age than Mike and Isaiah are going to, because they're never going to have that.
Right.
And so I think Curry and LeBron are going to have that. And they're going to look at each other and say, okay, I agree, disagree, I digress, this, that, and the third. Isaiah and Mike, never. No.
Right. No.
Why? I mean,
exactly.
Even Bird and Magic are kind of more understanding in their older age than Mike and Isaiah. They never gonna understand each other.
Right.
So they're never gonna see each other's point of view. So yeah.
Okay. Now the biggest thing for me is, and we'll end this here, but we've talked about some past beefs. We don't talk a lot about current beefs or more modern beefs, let's say, within the past 15, 20 years. I mean, you have some rivalries, but they're almost watered down in light. Do you think we'll ever see a rivalry in the NBA like we have in the past, like the Bird Magic, like the Jordan Isaiah? Because, again, if you look at these teams, yeah, you get a scuffle every now and then. You get the hold me back, bro moment every once in a while. Or, you're like Schroeder and you wait in the tunnel to try to whoop up on Luka Doncic because he started talking trash about your contract or whatever. So, I mean, you're going to get these little skirmishes, the tunnel beef. You get the Twitter beef because I love the little tete-a-tetes that go back and forth between Kevin Durant and Edwards about the baby mama and all this stuff. I mean, but will we ever see truly a rivalry in the NBA be created nowadays with the way these things are handled compared to like what we are used to seeing?
I think we will if the basketball changes. See, because the basketball back then was a little different.
Right.
There was more physicality in the basketball. So I think that's what made the rivalries more personal because of the fact the basketball was a little more touchy, was a little more physical. This basketball now, and I don't want to have that get off my lawn moment.
It's
I don't
okay.
want to have that because, I mean, I understand why the basketball is the way it is. I
Right.
get it. I really do. But the basketball is not physical like it was. So I can see why, guys are a little nicer because the basketball is not as physical. They don't have to hand check as much. They don't
Right.
they don't body up as much. That's why Giannis is like, I don't really even like y'all because I don't like anybody. I'm trying to beat you. And that's not a knock against Giannis. I actually
Right.
like the fact that Giannis is the way he is. He's bringing the competitiveness back
Right.
into the NBA. He's bringing the dominance into the NBA, and I like that.
Right.
I understand that you got to be nice for the camera, and you got to be a role model. I get LeBron, I get Steph Curry, being family men, being good guys, all around good guys. But dog,
Right.
that guy right there is trying to take from you. He's trying to take from your family. He's trying to take from your team. He's trying to take away from you. He's trying to take money from you. He's trying to take your food away from you. He's trying to take something away from you. Go get that dude. Go get him.
Right.
You can go back to be a family man. You can be a family man. You can be nice for the camera, the Make-A-Wish Foundation. You can do all that stuff, the philanthropy. You can do all of that. But at
Right.
the end of the day, go get that dude right there. He's trying to take
Right.
something from you. Go get him.
Right. There's
That's
heart.
okay.
There's no heart snatchers left in the NBA right
No.
now. There's nobody wants to rip your heart out of your chest. For me, a lot of it has to do with parity.
True.
You're seeing there's no, you have some top heavy teams, but your OKC won last year, and then you had the winners. You don't have the same teams meeting up every time. So like, in those 80s, Boston and LA, always
Oh, yeah.
kind of met up, or the Pistons and the Bulls met up at some point in time. They always kind of clashed. You don't have those kind of clashes anymore because there's always a different team. There the next team to bubble up from the year before may not be the same team that you just played. So what rivalry do you have? I've never played these guys last year. Now we're playing a different team. So even like an OKC who looks great and is probably going to go and go far in the playoffs this year, are they going to play the same teams? Are they going to be going against the T-Wolves and then stop the T-Wolves again? And then that becomes a little bit of a rivalry. We have OKC and the T-Wolves because the Wolves and Anthony Edwards can't get past Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and they have some beef, and then all of a sudden that becomes a little bit of a rivalry. Well, you may not get that because the West is so deep. It may be OKC versus San Antonio. It may be, so like to me, parity has a lot to play in this. Yes, is the NBA a little bit softer? I mean, it's still tough. But, they don't body each other up, but there's definitely not a lot of the hatred storylines and that stuff. Again, everybody's got to be huggy and gives dap at the end of the game, and then they go have dinner with each other and all this other stuff. And there's the seeds of, oh man, these guys really don't like each other. Those things are kind of gone. And then parity. Now none of these teams are, the playoffs every year are different teams against each other. You very rarely get the same teams that bubble up. So that's just me, my thoughts, guys. I'd like to hear your thoughts. We talked a lot about rivalries. Who's your favorite? Did we miss somebody? Drop us a comment, drop us a line. We'd love to hear about it. Man, this is good stuff. I'm still thinking about the Kings and Lakers, man. The Sacramento Queens. I love it. I love
Go
it.
back and watch those Western Conference Finals.
That was some good stuff, man.
Those regular
Good
season
stuff.
games, those pressers at the end of the game,
Yeah.
those pressers in the beginning of the game. That was fun. I mean,
That
and another thing
clickbait before it was clickbait. Go for it.
And another thing I thought about as well too. Back then, we didn't see a lot of our favorite players like they are now. With social media, as well too. There were other things that were held under wraps.
Right.
So we were glued, and we had to watch ESPN, and we had to watch the games, and we had to see like, oh, what are they going to do next, or what's happening here? The intangibles of the game. Now we got so many highlights, and YouTube is putting those highlights on there. So if you miss the game, you see the highlights. You may not see the full game,
right?
And that's where, like I said, like you said beforehand, put the phone down, watch these games, and that was something that really resonated with me, is because you're right, because that's basically what we have to do: put the phone down, watch these games, see what's going on. But social media has opened up the world to everyone. What LeBron is doing every hour of the day. Same with Steph Curry. Same with those guys. We didn't know what Mike was doing every hour. We had an idea because Mike was probably in the lab,
right?
Because of the training, the insane training regimen that he had,
right?
And then the reason why the mystique of the Kings and the Lakers is because they were pretty much in front of the camera saying this stuff, and then they went out there and played. And you saw a lot more in the basketball,
right?
Than what you saw in the pressers and all that other stuff. I mean,
right?
If that might have been, if Twitter and Facebook and all the social media might have been around, we probably would have saw a little more than what we should have.
Rough.
So,
Oof.
So that's
probably way too much. I think we see too much as it is.
We do, and I think the mystique is what drew us in.
Right.
To these rivalries, the mystique, and what is going on here? What's happening here? What does this mean here? And it glued us in. And now it's kind of like the mystique, and that's one of the drawbacks of the internet, social media. The mystique is gone.
We see behind the curtain now. It used to be Oz. We only saw in front.
Yeah,
but now we see behind the curtain. We see down the street. We see at home. We see in the bathroom. We see everything.
All that. I mean, for real. And that takes away the mystique. It's like wrestling. When kayfabe, when people started seeing, oh man, these guys are actually cool with each other, even though they hate each other, and the storyline says otherwise.
Right.
We know that the curtain has been pulled back, and the mystique is gone. So that's what I think might be what takes it away from us now.
I can definitely see that. So, yeah, man, it's good stuff, dude. But I appreciate it. And again, I always appreciate having Shannon on my show. He is not a rival of mine. We work on these things together. So, definitely one of my friends, and I appreciate that. So, Shannon, let the people know where they can find you. Show them behind the curtain.
Well, you'll definitely be seeing me a little more on Boom Broadcasting. The Panther podcast, the Cat Cave. Kind of taking a little bit of a break since the offseason came a little early for the Panthers. And we will be popping up, during free agency, draft, and all that other stuff, talking about unrestricted free agency, talking about the draft, who the Panthers may be taking on the Tobacco Sports Radio YouTube channel. On Thursdays, the Cat Cave will be in full effect. And on Fridays, of course, you will see me, Podcast Smitty, on Quick Hits. Dropped an episode today talking about college football. If the U is back, if Indiana's run is one of the greatest turnarounds of any college program, and is Kurt Cignati as good as advertised, or was he playing a little bit of money ball? So make sure that you watch that episode that dropped at 12 p.m. today. I'm supporting my guys on Boom. We got a lot of great stuff out there. This man right here, 3 times a week, 3 from deep. Chris DeLuca doing the dugout debrief. We got Hoops and Helmets that may be coming back. MD doing his thing with Out of Pocket. I'm liking the 6 a.m. I can get the recap if I don't get it. He's been heavily talking about the NFL. These guys have been doing great stuff, but catch me on Fridays. I'm Shannon Smith, and this is Quick Hits.
I love you, man. Thank you so much for being on here. And guys, thank you very much again. Storm is out there. Please be safe. If you don't got to go nowhere, don't go nowhere. Again, this is the perfect time to sit and snuggle up with some Boom Broadcasting on the YouTube channel. Binge watch all of our episodes, man. Check Shining out. Check myself out. Check all of the Boom Broadcasting family out, guys. We appreciate you. Everybody be safe out there. As long as I don't lose power and nothing crazy happens, I'll be back on Monday. So thank you guys very much. Love y'all. Peace.